Welcome to Lunchtime with Leona. And today at the table, we're going to be talking to Teresa Vaughn from Earrings Off. She's the other half of Earrings Off. And so, without a moment, I'm going to take a few moments and just let you know that today, a portion of today will be pre recorded. And then we'll come back in and have a conversation and just talk and chit chat. So, without further ado, let's get going here. Leona Dooley, and I hope you are going to enjoy today's session. We're going to gather our lunches and sit down and just chit chat. Today, our guest is Teresa Vaughn, the other half of Earrings Off blog and podcast. And there's lots of information down in the description box. But Teresa has quite a fun and inspiring story that she's going to be telling you about and some information that she's learned along the way. So, without further ado, let's get started. Well, welcome. It's lunchtime. And as you can see, we are having lunch. And it's so much fun. Every Monday, we're always right here together and we are enjoying our lunch together. And most of all, we're enjoying our conversation. And I invited Teresa Vaughn of Earrings Off to our lunch show. And we're just going to sit here, we're going to chit chat like we do at lunchtime. And we're just going to enjoy the moment. And we're going to talk about some healthy changes, some tips, and talk a little bit about Teresa's journey, where she started and what how she got to where she is at this point, how, the why, the when. We want to know it all. You know how it is at lunchtime. We want to know all the nitty gritties about what we're doing. But this month, we have, the month of February, we have been focused on the heart. We've been talking about our healthy heart. We have been talking about living. Lou kicked us off with living our best life. And Lou Ali, her other half of Earrings Off, got us started in talking about how we need the things that we needed to, that she's incorporated into her lifestyle in order to provide the best opportunities for herself in later years. And that's what we're doing. When you have young people, I don't think they realize, I know I didn't, at the age of 20, 25, we didn't realize that the choices we made at 20 and 25 are going to affect us as we get into later years. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't until I hit the brick wall at a later time that I realized, hey, I made some different choices early on that I probably wouldn't have had some of the issues that I did. So without further ado, I am turning this over to Teresa and giving her an opportunity to share with you, and I'll jump in every now and then and say, well, what about this, Teresa? And we're going to have that conversation back and forth. Now, let me remind you, today, we're doing this just a little bit different because Teresa is back in her building for work. And so because of that, she's unable to be with us at our specific lunchtime. And in fact, she'll tell you most of the time, she doesn't even get to have lunch. And so we're blessed today to be able to have her here. So I wanted to pre-record her conversation, and then we'll be able to talk, and she'll be able to come back and see what some of your comments were. She will probably respond in the comment box, and if there's any questions that you have, I'm sure she'll be happy to answer those along the way. And she had given us, for those of you who were fortunate enough to be with us Saturday morning in the kitchen, that Teresa was in the kitchen. And she was throwing that information at us. She was throwing it and giving it to us. And so we're just going to enjoy learning more about things that we can do for ourselves to improve our lifestyles every day. So, Teresa, Tell us about it. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about where you've been and the works.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. I'm Teresa, and I don't really consider it a journey. Like,
Okay.
so my deal is that I am in my circle an anomaly when it comes to food. So I'll start like that. So what that means is that I try to eat and choose foods that I eat based on what I might be feeling or how I might be feeling. And just overall wellness. It's like a part of the puzzle for me when it comes to food. And the full puzzle is the body, the nutrition, of course, just total wellness, the spirit, the mind, all of those things, the environment. So it's kind of a bigger picture than just food. That is my deal, right? So, but I know today we're talking about food, and what my diet is mostly plant-based. Mostly plant-based. I have spent time as a vegetarian. I've spent time as a vegan, and that's what I love the most. The total plant-based nutrition is what I prefer. But somehow my body, and I'm talking about me, doesn't or didn't respond very well to that. I'll elaborate a little bit. After being a vegetarian for about 5 years, I started having some real pain in my joints, and through many tests and consultations with doctors, came to the realization that my body was rejecting plants. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And so I was allergic to almost every plant that I was eating, except for I could eat oats. So I ate lots of oatmeal while I was trying to figure this thing out. But my love was beans, any kind of beans, any type of lentils. I ate those every day, and I was allergic to them. When I ate them, I hurt. And the blood work showed it, and the test, that's what they showed. So I could eat, like I said, I could eat oats, I could eat cruciferous vegetables like cabbage, and I could eat cabbage and broccoli and Brussels sprouts. And for fruit, it was only blueberries. Everything else that I ate. But at the time, because for me, food just was honestly just it was just a means to live. I ate to live, literally, and you cannot take that literally. It's not meant to be taken literally. So I didn't get into the fancy stir fries or the fancy sauces. I didn't get into any of that. It was quite simple for me. Vegetables, raw, cooked, just vegetables. And I tended to eat the same ones over and over and over again. So every Sunday morning I would make a pot of beans.
Okay.
Whatever was on sale, right? Literally, that's how I chose. I make a big pot of beans, and that would be my base every day for whatever I built around it.
Okay.
Right? So I would add a salad, I would add a grain, I would add fruit, whatever. But I would eat that. And that was how I ate as a vegan, like every day. But what I came to learn was that, I wasn't getting enough vitamin B. I wouldn't get enough of the B vitamins, because when I say plant-based, I was strictly plant-based. I didn't eat any cheese. I didn't eat any dairy. Of course, if you understand plant-based, you know that those things are part of that anyway. And I didn't eat any of the fake cheese, the plant-based cheese. I didn't eat any of those things that are enriched with vitamin B. So I totally was not getting any of that. But my body didn't. It wasn't energy that alerted me to that I was in trouble. It was the joint pain that alerted me to that I was in trouble. And literally, once I found out that I was allergic and I stopped eating those things, I stopped hurting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So then Leona, you don't even know this, but I scoured the United States, not just Virginia, for someone to explain to me what my body was going through and why I was experiencing this. And I found this lady that helped me understand what was happening and we analyzed what I was eating, and it was that I was missing some key nutrients in my diet, because when you think about it, each plant represents some spectrum of vitamin or nutrient that you need. And for instance, if you look at what you get from broccoli, you won't get that from spinach. So if you only ate broccoli, you're not going to get what the nutrients you need in spinach. And I know that's a simple analogy, yeah, but that's basically what it was. And so her recommendation was that I was totally y'all. I was a bit on the arrogant side, because I'm like, I don't need vitamins, I don't need supplements, because I'm eating vegetables, right? I don't need that. So she made me realize that I needed to supplement. So I supplemented, and I started back eating those things that my body was rejecting. Some of them I could tolerate, and pretty much all of them I'm now eating again, except on a regular basis, except for beans. I know, weepy, because that's my favorite. Yeah, so I can't eat them. I'm experimenting again with my body. I have started eating them once or twice a week to try to see if it's going to cause me any harm. But that was the only thing that I wasn't able to work back in without causing inflammation in my body.
Okay.
Yeah. And so fast forward, I worked with that lady. It was expensive. She was in North Carolina. So I had to, insurance doesn't pay for that.
No.
And then driving back and forth, that was also expensive too. So I started to search for a local person. I found a local gentleman who is an integrative medicine doctor, and he doesn't think there's any room in the world for a plant-based diet. So he's like, why? But he came highly recommended, and I knew several people who had come from the brink of just disastrous health to wellness with this guy. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to eat anything that I don't want to eat, right? And I'm going to research it. So what he advised me to do was to try chicken broth, bone broth, not chicken broth.
Do you make your bone broth?
Homemade bone broth.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Okay.
Homemade bone broth. So you make it yourself, because I should say at the time, the only bone broth that you could get came in that Tetra pack, and it had so many other things in it. Now you can get really good, not shelf-stable bone broth, but that's refrigerated. That will go bad, right?
And you can freeze.
That you can freeze. So back then, though, there was none of that.
Okay.
And so I made my own. Okay. And so he said, drink it as often as you want. Drink it, have it as your morning beverage. Drink it at lunchtime. Drink it throughout the day. And that's what I did. And what residual pain in my joints I had went away with the bone broth. And he said, "See, I told you." But I still attributed that to I was not fully supplementing myself with what I needed, right? And maybe it was the bone broth. Maybe my body is one that says, you might not like meat, but your body need it. And so I did that, and I did that for a while, and then he asked me, just try eating a little bit of it. I'm like, no.
You sound like Nia. That's her daughter. I can see her saying, no.
And so, but I did, and I think it might have been chicken wings. I can't remember. It was something simple. I was like, okay, let me try it. At that time, it had been 7 years since I had a piece of meat.
Oh.
7 years it had been. And so I drank the broth for, I had been drinking the broth for a while, and then I had a piece of a chicken wing. It didn't send me, it didn't upset my stomach.
Okay.
It didn't bother me one bit, but
that's good.
it still wasn't something that I wanted to have. And so then he asked me to do fish bone broth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he said, because where I got into trouble was doing the same thing over and over and over.
Over and over.
No
That's
variety.
right. That's
no
right.
variety. So he was like, if you're gonna eat the chicken, then let's start with fish. Let's try fish broth. And so I only made that once. That's hard.
That's hard to make.
It's hard to make, and it's hard to find a place to get the bones from, right? And so I only did that once, and it didn't taste the same. But I told him I can eat fish, right? I'll eat the fish, but I just can't. I don't really want the chicken. And so that's what I did. I started out basically having fish a couple of times a week.
Okay.
And I got better and better.
Okay.
You know, and so that's how that started. And now, you know, back in those days when I was healing myself, because natural healing takes a long time. When I was healing myself, I routinely tried to incorporate the bone broth or the fish. And now, at the point where I am, I don't feel so compelled to do it unless I feel a certain way, you know, or
but you don't want to get back to where.
Oh
you
no,
were.
but with my other diet is very varied now.
Okay.
So I challenge myself to include a vegetable that I haven't cooked or that I haven't eaten. It's getting kind of hard now because I've gone through the whole produce.
You eat things that I don't even eat.
I've gone through the whole produce department, and so but I don't cook them on a regular basis.
Okay.
You know, and so so that's what I do. I just try to, and it's generally because people say, "Oh, to be healthy is so expensive," right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
But you have to think about, you have to make that all relative. But so let's just keep with what we know they mean when they say that, because that's a very deep subject that would take us a long time to kind of cover. But if you're looking at the dollars specifically for food, if you just look at that, the local grocery stores every week runs a sale on some vegetable, on some fruit. Use that, get creative, cook it in multiple different ways, eat it raw, you know, and then it's not too expensive.
That's true. That's true. Even in the winter. Even in the winter. I do a lot of freezing now when the vegetables are fresh. Of course, we eat them fresh at that time, but I also put some aside for the winter. And, you know, I try to save the cooked vegetables for the winter when it's cold, so I can have the fresh, you know, in the summer, and when it's nice, and you can just take it right off the vine.
Yeah. I admire that in you, right? And I aspire to do that, but the one thing that I do, because my favorite fall, is it fall? Collard greens? My favorite fall vegetable is collard greens. Now I eat it raw, I steam it, I saute it, you name it. But I juice it. I use I
don't juice collard greens.
I do.
Y'all.
Let me tell you something. Juice collard green juice along with fresh ginger. And if you want it to be sweet, add apple or pineapple. I'm salivating. It's so good.
Okay. I'll have to have her fix it, because you know, maybe that'll be one of our next shows. We'll have to talk about all these little juices, because she and her husband make all kinds of juices.
Yes.
So that's something we'll have to keep in mind.
Right, and I make smoothies too, because that's what I use it in smoothies, because that's what Robert's favorite is, smoothies. Okay. I like drinking juices. He likes smoothies because you keep the fiber.
I know. I
you
like
keep
the
fiber. But just like you earlier said about not throwing away anything, I try to also use those by throwing it in muffins,
Oh,
throwing
yeah.
it in something, you know, making a broth out of it, right? Or just feeding the compost pile.
Okay.
So it gets reused, right?
Okay.
So, where was I going with that?
Where we were talking about
Cost.
money and
Cost. Okay. So we know the financial aspect of it. You know, it's cheaper. People say it's cheaper it's more expensive to eat healthy. But what I'd like for people to also consider is the impact on their health if they don't. Right?
That's
so
true.
you then have the expense of medical bills, which are far greater than food.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So when you talk about cost, consider that.
That's true. That's true. You figure for a doctor's visit,
Yeah.
you're looking at $500 or $600. Now you may not have to pay that out of your pocket because of your insurance, but the reality of it is that that's what it's going to cost. And you know, so vegetables, a good full plate of fruit and vegetables with a little bit of meat is going to be far less than what that doctor bill would be. So you're absolutely right. And let's not get into the specialists, because they just see you coming, and those costs just add up.
Right.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. Well, you know, I knew you had been through some things with your health, and that, and you know, I always, when I'm thinking about someone who eats in a very healthy manner, Teresa has been my guru. And if I had anything to ask, because when I did eat vegetables, well, I thought maybe, I look at it this way, Teresa didn't have nearly as much, you know, fat is something we need. And I don't know when you were eating as a you know, vegetarian or as a vegan, you know, whether that was a concern as well. Of course, we need a certain amount. We need fat in order to lose the fat as well. And I don't know what they do in there together, but there is a reaction between the fat you take in, if you have good fats like olive oils or grapeseed oil or peanut, you know, those kind of things. And your body needs a certain amount of that daily in order to give off some of the bad fats that you have, like I have fat, you know, just put it out there that I have it. You know, I have to be honest, but you know, the reality of it is that I didn't give that part up, but certainly I tried to make sure that I had a certain amount of vegetables each day. But you know, we were all on this journey of trying to make sure that we were eating healthy. Teresa was teaching us about, you know, the vegetables and the nutrition behind it. And because both she and my daughter as well were having some health situations that they were trying to work through. And you know what Kim ended up doing, she had some type of test that she had run. I don't know what the name of it is. I should have asked her so I could have the exact. But I'll put that in the description box too, because it's something you can mail off for. And I don't know if it's saliva that you send, or I don't think it's a hair sample. I think it's saliva that you actually send. They'll send the kit to you, and you send your portion back. And then it takes a couple of weeks, and they will analyze to find out what you're missing, what your body needs, what it has too much of, too little of, and those things you should stay away from, and those things you should actually continue to incorporate. But what you did find was that she, like you, it wasn't beans, because you know that wasn't her thing, but she had certain things that she was eating daily just because that's what she liked, only to find that because she ate so much of it every day, that it caused a concentration of certain nutrients in her body, and her body was reacting against it. And so, you know, that's something to keep in mind. Sometimes, I know I'm real good. I love oatmeal, and I can remember back in the day that I did this thing of, I had oatmeal 3 times a day, and expensive, and wasn't a lot of cooking, you know, when you're young and you don't want to do all that. And that was the worst thing I could have ever done. You know, I ended up at the doctor. And so whatever it is that you like, don't overdo it. It goes back to that. Don't overdo it. You know, have variety in what you're eating.
Variety and listen to your body,
Mm-hmm.
because we're all different when it comes to that and what nutrients that our bodies need. So the test that you're mentioning about that Kim took, there are many of those type tests. They can be stool samples, they can be blood, or they can be saliva, but they all basically do the same thing.
Okay.
And they do an analysis, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my doctor does, actually.
Mhm.
So I didn't have to mail it off. He recommends different. Now, even with him being a medical doctor, some certain insurances still don't pay for that.
Right.
Those are out of pocket tests. So your normal doctor will not recommend them.
Exactly.
But my integrative medicine doctor uses those types of analysis to determine or to help you overcome whatever it is that you're dealing with.
Cool.
Using food first versus medicine. Now he will prescribe medicine, but that's kind of a last resort.
Okay. I like that, because you know I'm all about trying to, you know, if I think something needs tweaking, I'm quick to tell the doctor, hold on one second before you give me any medicine, and let me figure out what I need to do personally at home in the kitchen to supplement and to improve that situation. If something I need to eliminate, then tell me what it is. Or if it's something I need to add, tell me what it is. And, you know, we have managed to, you know, both the big guy and myself, we deal with blood pressure, and some of mine is a female thing, but where it's not with him. But I have been able to keep our food balanced enough that, and you all will laugh, yes, I fix his plate every night. So because of that, I know some people going, no, but I do. I fix his plate every night. So whatever I put on his plate, you know, he looks at it and he'll go, oh, okay. And he'll eat whatever I put. So I make sure that I kind of mentally look at that plate, and it's got to be very colorful. And then I'll give him a little bit of protein. And now that when we go to restaurants or we go somewhere else, then he's looking at it, and as soon as they bring the plate, he's going, oh my goodness, this is too much of this, and this. And I just kind of smile, because I know this is the difference in how I used to set up his plate versus the way I do it now. So, you know, we can help our own family members, you know, as we're preparing the food, as we're, you know, what we use in the food. And, you know, I'm real good at sticking grains and those kind of things. You know, I didn't do it today as far as the breads, but when I fix brownies, my brownies have additional grains in them. I throw all kinds of stuff into the brownie. The kids will tell you, cookies, you never know what's going to be in the cookie. Yes, it's going to taste fantastic, but there's flax seed, there's chia seeds, there's all kinds of seeds that I've tossed in there so that when they're eating that cookie, it's going to be nutritional as well.
That's great.
That helps.
That's an easy way to sneak those things in. I do the same.
Yeah, we have to be able to get it in one way or the other, because if I just sprinkled the seeds on whatever it was, they'd look at it and that would be the end of it. They wouldn't even eat it. So, and I might not eat it, you know, to be honest with you, you know. So when I can hide the nutrition, sometimes that's what I do. And I don't tell them until after they've eaten all of it. And then I'll say, oh, well, how was so-and-so? And they'll say, oh, it was really good. I said, oh, I'm so glad. It had so-and-so and such and such and such and such. And they'll go, oh, okay. So now, how is it, you were saying that your family is also, I won't say on the journey, but they eat somewhat differently, initially, from you.
So with them, they're meat eaters, right?
Okay.
So they like meat,
Okay.
which is no problem. But but they are both allergic or gluten. We don't know about Nia. We never had her test it, but we know that if she eats gluten, her skin breaks out. So there's an intolerance at least. So we don't play with that. So everything, there's nothing in my house that has gluten in it.
Okay.
So everything is gluten free from the start. That's the base. I will eat wheat outside of the house, but I don't bring it in the house because I don't have that intolerance. But they love vegetables just as much as I do, right? And of course, Nia grumbles if there's no meat, but she will eat it because if you're hungry, if I didn't make meat, she'll eat. It's just beef, chicken, and fish. Every now and then, we'll have lamb, right? Because I haven't figured out really how to cook it, you know. And well, I did make for Nia. She was last summer when she was home. She was talking about I need something different, so I made lamb chops, and she liked it. And she didn't ask me what it was, right? She just ate it, and after she finished, she's like, "Mom, that was so good. What was it?" And I said, "Lamb chops." She was like, "Oh, you made me eat a lamb."
Bye, black sheep. Everybody will.
Yeah, and I was like, and then she asked for it again, so because she did enjoy it. So I made that, but I found a YouTube video, and that's how I made that. So now that's a new addition into for them to eat, but I didn't even taste it. So I cooked it and didn't taste it, so I can't tell you how it tasted. And I can do that.
Now, is it because you don't like lamb, or you just don't eat it?
I don't eat it.
Okay.
I only eat what I think my body needs.
Okay.
I don't know if my body needs that. I've never had it. Never had it. I don't eat it. I never had it. So I'm not introducing that.
You mean all those times that we've had lamb at dinner, you never ate it? Because I always brought salmon, and
never.
I know she ate the salmon.
Yes, never tasted it, never ate it. And I can tell you, I haven't had beef since I was probably 20 or 21.
Wow.
I tell you, when the light bulb went off that I didn't have to have it, I stopped eating it because I didn't like it. I was not a hamburger. No. I'm gonna tell you something now. I love hamburgers, but they're veggie burgers.
That's not the same.
And they are delicious.
I know.
And I have discovered this carrot hot dog.
Aren't they sweet?
No, because the seasoning is you use flavored smoke. It's processed, right? So it's nothing that you want to have on a regular basis.
Okay.
It's flavored smoke.
Like liquid smoke.
And it's got a whole bunch of other apple cider vinegar. It's got a whole lot of different things that you marinate them in first.
Oh, okay.
But if you're talking about good, you would never think about putting a hot dog in your mouth after having that. You wouldn't. So
y'all hearing this? A carrot dog.
Oh, it's delicious. It is so delicious.
I'm not gonna knock it because I haven't had one.
Yeah, so it's good. It's really good. And so I don't miss it. I can cook.
Okay.
Now you talk about favorite meals, right? It's very, and we also talk about recipes without a recipe. What was that you mentioned?
No recipe.
No recipe recipes.
Cooking with no recipes.
So you've heard of chicken parmesan, and you know how that's made. So Nia likes hamburger parmesan. So I make a hamburger patty.
A vegan hamburger.
No, it's beef.
Oh, okay.
I make a hamburger patty with beef, and I bake it in the oven, plain. Take it out and pour off all of the oils. Top it with marinara,
Marinara.
and put it back in for a couple of minutes, and then put up mozzarella on top.
Okay.
And so it's like a meatball, but it's a beef patty. It's a patty. So we call it our beef parmesan. And that's one of her favorite meals. And that on a bed of spaghetti. And she
that's good.
absolutely loves that. Now that is something that's so country, right? Like that is like
it's
nothing that you want
a new shape for a meatball. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that is not something that you would see on a menu anywhere, but her favorite thing to make. I've never tasted it. I don't know what it tastes like.
She faces it, but she doesn't.
No,
she doesn't eat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't eat it, and
But
no
she
desire
likes
to eat it.
Yeah.
So when they have that, I have spaghetti with sauce.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
and so it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Okay. Well, we are fortunate that there's very little that the big guy doesn't like, and so I can pull just about anything out, and he'll eat it except leftovers, because he really doesn't like. He's not a leftover kind of guy. So if he's not eating, he wants it fresh. And
well, Leona, what do you do with leftovers?
Well, Teresa, it's taken me 30 years to figure out how to cook small.
Oh, okay. So
And,
you cook it just enough.
Because I was so used to cooking for a large family, and especially when we have his family, we were looking at 30 people. So, it was batch cooking. And then, of course, at our house, we never knew how many people were going to be at dinners, because we have people to show up, and the kids' friends would stay. So it was nothing to have 8-10 people, for dinner. The two of us, I would cook, and Conway would come down, and he'd go, well, who's coming? Who's coming for dinner? Because there would be so much food. And so what I started doing was that I would do freezer meals. And then that way I could bring it back later. But some things you just can't do that with. And so for a little while, unfortunately, I found myself sometimes throwing things out that I didn't want to throw out. Or I would take it for lunch. He won't even eat it for lunch.
Okay.
And so, it was a struggle. But at this point, I have learned how to cook for two, and it's not so hard, but it's an adventure. It's an adventure always in the kitchen.
I love leftovers.
I do too. I think they taste
especially
better.
at Thanksgiving. I love that week between.
Yes.
Thanksgiving and Christmas. Christmas especially, because that week between Christmas and New Year's. Just eating those leftovers, and then having a different big meal on New Year's.
Yeah, totally
Day.
different. Totally different.
Yeah.
But I'm sure my New Year's looks a little different from yours. Because we gotta have the ham.
Oh.
We gotta have ham. And Teresa's not gonna let that touch her mouth.
Well, not even in my house.
She would eat the black-eyed peas.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Eat black-eyed peas, the greens, all that. She'll eat all that. And I cook all that without meat.
Yes.
And it's and that was an adventure, learning how to prepare greens to taste the way I've always been used to them tasting, and to be able to do it without having to add meat. And especially because initially I always had a couple of ham hocks in there, and then we went to the smoked turkey, only to find that that's not really good for you either. And so then I tried just adding, a little chicken broth, and I guess, that's okay. But now I don't even need that. So, it's just working through it. It's learning what your body needs.
It's learning in the palate, right?
Absolutely.
So the thing is that, what I have learned, and what I love the taste of vegetables with nothing. Right? And I can probably attribute that to my growing up. So my grandfather was a farmer. That's what he did for a living for corporations. Pomona products.
Okay.
So he grew peppers, he grew corn, he grew some beans, and so literally when we would play in the fields, in the house to eat, we just pick one and pop it into our mouths. We just eat it. It was nothing for us to crack open a watermelon in the fields and eat it.
Nothing better.
And that's how I grew up. And so I actually love the taste. You'll love this. Do you remember the Joy program at church?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the exercise we had when we had people take in a raisin and just savor the taste and say what you were tasting? That's how it's a party in my mouth each time. Like when I was talking about the fresh parsley. Like
I love parsley.
I love the flavor. You can just taste every little bit when you're chewing it, right? I love vegetables like that. Like I don't have to have dressing. I don't have to have oils or vinegar or any of that added to them to enjoy them, and that's where you got to get.
Right.
And you don't have to get. That's where I am. I'm
that's what Johnny says.
That's where I am. That's right. But and so when I'm cooking vegetables, I also did not grow up. I was a bit of an anomaly in that my mom didn't cook with meat and vegetables.
Okay.
So to me, even coming from the South and seeing that was a foreign thing to me because we didn't grow up. My grandmother didn't do it. We didn't grow up with meat in our vegetables. So that I'm like, what? It's vegetables. Why would you put meat in it? Like that was a foreign concept to me, right? So I had never had to get over that because I never had that growing up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I cook when I cook collard greens. So it's vegetables. It's vegetable seasoning vegetables.
Okay.
So I will saute garlic and onions and shallots and whatever allium you can think of and leeks, put it in there, and that would be the base for it's kind of like making a broth before you put the greens over in there. Yeah, and that's what season it, and then I will add some salt to that. Well, I actually add salt to that mixture. Okay. And you talked about fat, and so I'm also on this challenge. And in fact, Robert cooks too, and he just never even knew that you would add oil to saute onions and stuff. So he started with water. He would always, and I never told him. I let him cook the way he cooks because I want him to cook. So I don't. That's good, and it's actually good for us. So now I'm on that same boat. I use very limited oil, honestly, but I do eat avocado.
I love
so
avocados.
And so I don't add oil to anything, and I don't cook with oil.
But that's your fat. So
when you have avocado, exactly. That's why I mentioned it. But yeah, so.
Because I know I made a dressing about a week ago that was the base was avocado, and you blended it. So it was the fat with lemon juice and just some seasonings.
And I could take that and spoon it.
Because it was delicious. It was delicious.
You want to know one of my favorite summer salads, and I got that from your son, Conway Jr.
What's that?
Remember he made the Neely's grilled romaine?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I've never stopped making that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's my favorite thing to do is to grill the romaine, and of course I've changed I don't use the same dressing.
Okay.
Over time, I mean, I still will use it, but I'm just saying I've adapted other dressings with that. But I love grilled romaine. That was so good.
It is good. It is good. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, this has been fun.
I'm getting hungry.
I know. We're gonna have to go back and fix another plate. We've been working here, but I am learning so much. And I can tell you all, because I'm usually pretty honest about what's going on. I thought I'd do a different fish the other day, and Conway likes cod. And I saw it sauteed. It looked pretty. It tasted great. But the lingering smell of that cod, it just had a lingering odor that we had a problem trying to get out of the house.
How did you prepare the fish?
Just in a skip, just like I did the salmon. And I don't know what it was, but the cod just left.
Did it taste well?
Oh yeah, and it didn't smell before, because I'm funny about about fish. I always make sure
it's fresh.
There's no it has to be fresh. There's no fishy smell.
Yeah,
and I didn't check it before.
Never...
But I tell you what, it just, I don't know what it was, but it did not smell good. And afterwards, and so I don't know if it was because it was different, because we don't normally have cod. Maybe that was the case. But it took a little while. I had to put some vinegar in a bowl and sit it out.
Oh my goodness!
Overnight to kill that fragrance. So,
well, I will tell you, fry cod, but typically when you have fish and chips at a restaurant, I think it's cod that they serve.
Yes.
But I have never fried it myself.
Right.
But what Robert does is, he's a master at making soups. And so during the summertime, he makes, he calls them stew. I call them soup.
Like a fish
and so it's all vegetables, and then he will plop fish over in there. Well, cod is one of those fishes that he will put in there.
It can hold up because it's a very solid fish.
Yeah, he does, and so I like it when he makes that the vegetable soup and he puts cod over in there. So that's how. So I don't know.
I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, it took a couple of days before we could kill it.
That's so funny. Conway's like, don't make that again.
I told him, I said, honey, I'm so glad that you decided to select this fish, but I'm not cooking that again in my kitchen.
Yeah.
You can cook that outside. That's an outside preparation.
Yeah, and so like in the summer, that's another thing that I like is fried fish.
Yes.
So
her husband makes
that's
fried fish.
And so that's what I was about to tell you about when you said take it outside, because he takes the deep fryer outside and makes the fried fish. Now I like that.
Yeah. Well, I actually bought the induction cooker so that I can take it out as well, even though we have an eye on the grill. But I'm usually doing something else on that eye, something that way I can have the induction cooker out there and can also fry fish or whatever it is, that we want to prepare. But, this has been fun. This has been fun. Well, guys, I'm back to that time period where I'm trying to hold you to a certain amount of time. And Teresa and I are having a ball, and I know you're going to enjoy it as well. And, we're always, every day is an adventure. And so when I say to her that it's a journey, it's because every day is special. And we never know what direction that, life is going to take us, whether it's with our health, whether it's with our family, whether it's with those around us. And certainly if we have not learned anything, we know that the next day can certainly be very different because we have had to live through some very different times. So my word to you is for this afternoon, as you finish up your lunches and get ready for the rest of the day, is that you will find something positive to do. And that those that are around you, they will feel. Hey guys, I'm stopping at the end of that pre-recorded portion. And the reason for that is because I had a little ending that I had put in, but since I'm right here, then I can talk. And we've had such a good time. Most of the time, I'm kind of focused on whomever the speaker is. And while I'm going back and forth to get your comments and try to make sure I read your comments, it's nice to be able to really focus on what the conversation is at lunchtime. Um, I have been looking at some of your comments, and I see that Emma's sharing with us that she has a fishmonger that comes to our town every week with fresh fish. Oh my goodness. It's hard getting fresh fish, and you are very, very lucky because we have one place that we can go to for fresh fish. Well, they have it at stores and they say it's fresh, but I think most of the time it's probably been frozen and then brought out fresh. When I'm down in during the summer, when we're down in South Carolina, we can go to Georgetown, and they're bringing fish straight to the shore, and you can buy it right there off the fisherman. And that is always such fun. I can get fish, I can get shrimp, I can get crabs, I can get any of that right there fresh. But when I'm here in Virginia, that's not a possibility. And so for those of you that I see what you're saying. Patricia's added to that. Uh, oh, wait. I hit Louise. Sorry, Patricia. Louise is saying the Long John Silver's copycat recipes. Oh, I haven't tried those. Are they good? Patricia said that most of the fish at stores has been frozen. You're absolutely right. The salmon that I used Saturday while we were in the kitchen, that fish was from Costco, and I know for sure it had been previously frozen. So it's just one of those things. One year, um, my husband and another friend, and in fact, it was three couples. We went up to Oscoda, Michigan, and we went salmon fishing. Oh my goodness. If you have ever had an adventure, that was it. And salmon fishing was so much fun. And hey, Karen, thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Um, we uh, salmon, you're limited as to the number of whole salmon. I mean, some of those salmon were almost as large as both of your arms out. They were huge. And what we were able to do, we had taken a truck. So we had lots of coolers and we could get lots of ice. And we were able to bring the salmon back. And I know we had salmon in our freezers between the three couples. We had enough salmon for a year of fish. And so it was really, really good. And every time you brought it out, it was like we were taking that vacation again. So if you have an opportunity to go on a boat and go out fishing, I know sometime we thought about going down to Virginia Beach and going blue crab. I don't know what they do to them. I think they cast out nets and pull them in, but to catch blue crab. And so, we want to be able to encourage that. For those of you who have gardens, oh my goodness, I'm so envious because I had a garden at another house, and the big guy really is a good gardener, and he really has a green thumb. Me, not so much. but he has a good green thumb, and we were able to grow a little bit of everything. But now our yards are shaded, and so with trees, and while I'm all about the trees, we have to keep as many trees as possible, but it cuts into my garden. Ronnie's asking, did the salmon you caught taste different from the salmon at the grocery store? Yes, absolutely. She said a friend sent her some salmon from Alaska and it tasted different than what she buys at the store. Yes, Ronnie, I mean, it's a pure, cleaner, uh, of course, the nice part was that we could slice it. Now, what we were able to do after we caught them, we had a place that we could immediately take them. They took all the parts that we didn't want to have to deal with on the inside, and they kept all, especially if it was a female, they kept all the eggs. And what we really tried to do, because sometime trying to determine whether you have a female or a male. Well, for those of us who are novice, we didn't know. But when we got there, they knew whether or not it was a female or a male. They kept all the eggs, all the roe, and so they could resupply the waters. And it was nice being able to slice the fish the way you wanted it. And but most of all, it was delicious. And I tell you what, the we went grocery shopping in Oscoda, and we went in early October. And you know what? It was cold. Oh my goodness, it was cold. I just had not realized how cold it would be at that time of the year. But it really was cold. At 5 o'clock in the morning, when we were out there supposed to be uh, catching fish, I mean, I'm standing and I'm shivering because of the fact that it was that cold. But the nice thing was our cabin that we had was right on the water. Oh, how beautiful to wake up every morning and have that view and have the smell of the lakes right there. It was a beautiful vacation, and kind of roughing it. I can tell you I'm not really a roughing it girl, but this was nice. Plus, we had a fireplace so we could come back in, have the fireplace. It was real romantic, if nothing else. And so, but the salmon was great. It was absolutely great. Patricia's saying that last year she planted a few things on a garden table. She had peppers, tomatoes, and herbs. Ah, Patricia, that's a possibility because now my daughter did, I don't know if you all watch, I think her name is on YouTube, Robbie, and oh goodness, I can't think of his name, but it's a lady and her husband and wife team. It was a husband and wife team. I'll try to catch their name. She is a hoot. All you have to do is type in hummingbirds because that's her thing. I mean, I think this lady has something in her that hummingbirds love. And it's like when she walks outside, they just come, and she'll have 100 hummingbirds right at her kitchen window. It is amazing. She's out in California, and but she's big into container gardening. And what she does is that she takes the tubs like that we normally store our decor and all that stuff in. She takes those and makes her beds. And she does that because she said bending over to the ground is just so hard. So she takes that and she grows fantastic vegetables. but she also has plenty of sunlight, to go along with it, and a pretty long growing season. Because in fact, I think she's already starting to put things out into her garden. So, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'll try to catch up with. I know it's Robbie, and I cannot think of his name, but if you type in Robbie and hummingbirds, you'll get her. You'll get her. Yes, she is from California. Yes, she is, Kim. She's from California, and she is so funny. But as you go back in her videos, she will show you how to set it up and how to do it, what I call on the cheap, in that it's not like you're having to put an entire container of soil into those tubs, because they can be a lot of money, trying to dump bag after bag after bag of stuff into those containers. But my daughter did the tubs for the past 2 years. Her vegetables were beautiful and plentiful. She had uh, melons. She had green beans. She had tomatoes, cucumbers, all the salady stuff. She even planted zucchini and cucumbers, and I I was amazed. I looked at her and went, "Oh, well, I guess you have your dad's green thumb," because I mean, it was beautiful. And what she did, she intermingled some flowers in there. So cool, because when you walked out on the deck, it looked like a tropical paradise between the flowers and the vegetables in these tubs. It was really pretty. It was really pretty. And Louise, you're right. Planting in tubs sounds like a great idea. It really was, because the way they were situated, you really didn't have to get down on your knees and start digging around. And yes, Kim, you are absolutely right. Let me put this up. Robbie and Gary, yes, gardening easy. Oh, guys, check them out, because she's funny, and thank you. She is funny, and but she is no joke when it comes to planting that garden. And I think you'd really enjoy her. You'd really enjoy it. Gary's quiet, and he is so reserved. But you know what? Opposites attract, because girlfriend is a mess. And you would enjoy it. You would enjoy it. So check them out. Now, guys, I'm sorry to hold you over. I got to talking, and it's like being at lunchtime. We can just get to going, and before we know it, our time is up. But I hope you have certainly enjoyed today, and because I really have been able to kind of be. I won't say sit back and be on the sideline, but really that's what it was. I was able to be at lunch with you, because I had already done the previous work over on the other side. Now, next week we have a guest who's going to be coming, and for lunch, and girls, it's a he, not a lady. It's going to be a guy that's going to be coming, and a doctor who's going to be coming, and he is going to give us quite a bit of information. I talked to him this morning, and he had like 10 things that were running through his head that he wanted to be able to share. And so I told him, I said, go for it. I said, because I know our family is going to love every bit of it. And this has been wonderful. I have just loved being with each of you, and from Emma, who's across the pond, and of course those of you who are here, those who are in Canada, and that's what it's all about. Ooh la la, you're absolutely right. A doctor in the house, yes. And he has lots of fun things that he's going to tell us. He's got some fun things, and he's got some serious things to share with us. And so I'm really looking forward to to his being here at the table with all of us. Now, I'm going to be good to you. I'm going to let you go as much as I uh, hate to turn you loose. It's like being on the telephone and you just don't want to stop talking. But I know being respectful of your time, we have a lot to do. And this has been a great time. So I pray that each of you have an absolutely amazing week and enjoy every second with your family and friends. And remember me, and I will always remember you every day. So, have a great day, and I'll see you soon right here at Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme.